All right, guys, good morning. We will go ahead and get started. This is our last meeting for the spring. And part of our agenda at the end is that end of the year survey to get your feedback on moving forward, how we would like these meetings to look. I do think this is definitely one positive that we've had from this whole experience is just being able to connect with other counselors. So if you'd take some time to fill that out today, that would be awesome. It's very short. So just please take a few minutes and do that before we get distracted and busy with end of the year stuff. It'd be great. So today our meeting is going to be led by Lois. And Lisa. Lois is our high school, right? Lois, high school representative. And Lisa is our K-12 representative on the board. So they are going to take over and lead us through today's agenda. Thanks, ladies.
So Lisa, do you want to start or do you want me to?
Lois, I'll let you go ahead and get started.
Okay, so just to introduce myself, Lois Stellingrod. I work at Arvada Claremont. We're a K-12 school. I am the high school representative for our board. And I've been here, oh gosh, going on 16 years, I think, in this district. And then I was in another district in Wyoming for 8 years, plus some time in Nebraska. So we would like for you to go ahead and put in chat where you're from, your district, and your email if you want to. And then Lisa, I'll let you introduce yourself.
Good morning, I'm Lisa Schuldeis. I'm the K-12 representative on the board. I am the K-12 counselor at Guernsey Sunrise Schools in Guernsey, Wyoming, Platte District 2. I've been in the counseling position for 7 years. Prior to that, I was the secondary English teacher in our district for 12 years. So I've been in the same place for quite a while, but absolutely love what I do, making that shift from teaching to counseling.
All right, so on our agenda, the first thing we have down is that we do have a resource page that's available. Is there anything that we need to add to that? Does anybody, I'm not sure if I have anybody taking notes or if I'm the note taker. But is there anything we need to add to our resource page for virtual education and COVID-19 resources? Okay, I'm not hearing anything. So if there is, let us know, or you can mail it to Amy Mason to email it. Sorry, not mail it, email it. So is Catherine Palmer on?
I am on.
Awesome. So I'm going to let you go ahead and talk about the Stop School Violence Task Force. And we appreciate you joining us today.
Yeah, thank you all. Amy, Lois, Lisa, the entire board. Thank you for giving me just a minute to kind of hijack the beginning of your guys' meeting. I am Kat Palmer. I know my name somewhere, it's Catherine all over the state, but I really prefer to just be called Kat. I work in the accreditation division at the Wyoming Department of Education. Ultimately, our team just reviews evidence annually that's submitted by your districts. And we just make sure that the districts are meeting the requirements of statute. Then we tell the state board, this is our recommendation for these districts to be accredited. Part of that work requires us to also provide support in areas that we just see a trend that maybe some districts or a group of districts really need help or some more guidance. And we have 25 criteria that we look at. So 2 of the criteria I think that kind of align with a lot of the work that you guys do in your districts. We have a culture safety criteria and then the at-risk prevention criteria. And what we've seen is there's definitely a need for risk and threat assessment resource across the state. And so what I'm doing is I'm working with Region 5 BOCES, and we're submitting a grant application to get funds to really help create these resources that are kind of floating all over the place, but no one, our legislators have shot down the bill 2 years in a row now for threat assessment work, but that doesn't mean we don't need it. And so we're going to move forward as if it was approved. We're just going to keep going. And I'm asking you today if you guys could go ahead and apply or think about applying for this task force. The soonest we would meet would be October. Most of my meetings right now that I'm facilitating are all online. So depending on our environment and what's happening, I'm guessing it'll probably be a lot of online meetings for quite some time. The task force will be comprised of all sorts. We need diverse perspectives. So I've reached out to county sheriffs, local police officers across the state, a lot of state agencies, hospital workers, counselors within the schools. And that's why I'm pushing this out to you guys, because I've only had a few actually apply. And so I'm hoping that this group could possibly help. If you do not want to apply yourself, that's fine, but maybe you know a colleague that this would be perfect for. I need more school counselors. I need nurses, school counselors, psychologists, resource officers, superintendents, community members. So if you have a professional counselor in the community, psychologists in the community, we really just need a lot more people to apply, and I'm closing down this application on Friday. If we don't get the grant, we are going to still think of a way that we can do this more small scale. Region 5 BOCES will ultimately be providing the training. So the task force work will help us develop protocols. And we really need, I mean, we can't create one protocol and say, okay, good luck districts, rural and urban, one size fits all, you know, so we really need the task force to help us kind of tailor the language and tailor the process so that it makes sense that a rural district might approach it in this manner, and an urban district that has more resources will approach risk and threat assessment in a different manner. So region, like I said, Region 5 BOCES will go ahead and provide that boots on the ground training, or I guess not boots on the ground, it might be virtual, but they'll be providing training for up to 3 years if we can get this grant. And so I'm just pleading. I'm gonna go ahead and drop in the chat a link to the application, and I'll drop my email address. You guys are welcome to just follow up, think about it this weekend. If you have some questions on Monday, shoot me an email with 20 questions and I'll answer them for you. We are also looking for letters of support. So I've received few from, I've been surprised actually from like local law enforcement offices, which is amazing, because I think that that's one of those lines of communication that districts don't utilize enough. And so if you're interested and this is something that you're passionate about, please shoot me a letter of support, because that will really beef up our application to the grantor. So that's all I have. Do you guys have any questions before I hop off your meeting?
Kat, just real quickly, can you clarify that application due date for us? Is that Friday today, Friday next week? I'm assuming next week, but can we clarify?
Next week, at the 22nd.
Perfect, thank you.
And my question is how long would it take to fill out the application? Because I was thinking my superintendent would be perfect for this too, and I didn't want to overwhelm him at this moment.
I made it very easy. So I think the hardest part of the whole application is the very last question, which is really open-ended, kind of just tell us why. Why do you want to be part of this work? And also, even if you have zero experience, you know, we need parents on the committee as well. So if you have zero experience working with students in this capacity, that's okay. We want passion. We want people to help us move the project forward, and also give us that perspective that we might be missing. For those of us that are working in the districts and with students all the time, sometimes we get in this tunnel vision. So think about those people in your lives that are like, oh man, they might have never worked with a student a day in their lives, but they have kids. So maybe I can shoot this application to them. All right, anything else before I pop off?
Not if, no, I don't think so. If we don't have any more questions, we sure appreciate you joining us and telling us about this, and put the link in there for us so that we can share it with other people too.
All right, perfect. Thank you guys. Have a great morning and great rest of your meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kat.
Thank you.
Next on our agenda, Paul Maddox is on this morning. So Paul, we're going to go ahead and hand it over to you to talk about your research project.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
And I notice Dr. Lindsay Nichols is on as well, and she's a part of this project, so she can chime in at any time if she'd like. Hi, Lindsay. I just wanted to share with WYSCA and school counselors across the state and give you some information about a research study that we're beginning, and we're beginning this week. In that we've developed a survey to send out to all administrators across Wyoming. And what we're trying to do is really examine and explore what their perceptions, knowledge, and understanding of what school counselors do and what the roles of school counselors in their schools are. I really see this as an initial or beginning study for a line of research that we're wanting to do that could possibly help advocate for school counseling in Wyoming. And one thing I wanted to let you all know is, like I said, we've developed this study. It's similar to one that I was a part of in Missouri as well, that really helped us on some advocacy things in that state too. But if you're approached by an administrator or somebody and they're asking you questions about this, I just wanted to put out there that we've developed this specifically for administrators at this point. So if they're asking you to fill it out or how to answer certain questions, let them answer it at this point. Not to be, we want to be helpful as counselors and all that, but at the same time, we're trying to get a baseline of what principals, administrators, what they know, what they think, what they're seeing on their end, so that we can use that data to really see what their perspectives are, and to really get at that administrator type of view on things. Because we sent this out, was it a day or so ago, Lindsay? One day ago, and I've already had some administrators asking, shouldn't the school counselor be filling this out? And the point is, we want to really get a solid foundation baseline. What do the administrators know, so that we can start to open up some lines of communication, with this, because we got to know where they're coming from. And on the flip side, later on down the road, we may be doing something similar with school counselors here in the state too. So just FYI, but this is our starting point. And I just wanted to give everybody a heads up in case you hear, hey, there's some school counseling survey thing that got sent out. That way you have an idea of what's going on with that. And like I said, myself, Dr. Lindsay Nichols, and Dr. Colby Gull, who Dr. Gull was former superintendent, school administrator. He's working with us on this as well. And so if your administrators in your school do get the survey, please encourage them to fill it out, but at the same time, don't fill it out for them. Did I cover it good enough, Lindsay? All right. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask either Lindsay or I or Dr. Gull.
All right, thank you for that. Interesting. It'll be interesting to see what perceptions or responses you get back and how that's viewed from the administrators. So yeah, appreciate that. And like I said, be really interesting. Does anybody have any questions?
can we ask for our district or our school to be involved in this? Is there a way for us to do that?
Yes. One thing is it's our understanding that this should be going out to all the administrators, because we're actually having it sent out via the the elementary. There's two different professional organizations. There's the elementary school principals or administrators, and then the secondary school principals administrators, and they have agreed to send it out through those professional organizations to all the members that they have. But you can check with your school principal and see if they've gotten it, and if they haven't, we'd be happy to send it to them.
Okay, any other questions? All right, thank you. We appreciate knowing about this, and we'll look forward to finding out more about the results and even surveys for us if that comes down the pike.
Thank you.
Okay, the next
And
person.
Wendy, I believe you were on.
Okay, go ahead.
Would you? Okay, Wen is on this morning as well. I believe I saw her in the grid. We've got the airborne transmission. We're going to have Wendy, if you'd be willing to visit with us about that. Wendy might be away from her her computer right now, but on the agenda there is a link for airborne transmission, an article on airborne transmission risks, and let's see if I can. Sorry, awkward pause. My internet is crawling this morning. See. Let's see. Yeah, I can't. Can you pull it up on yours? Or do you think we need to?
I don't know if we need to. Let's see. So Wendy's is not available. Okay. So we go on to the next one, and maybe if she comes available, we can come back to it. Lindsay Hornecker, I want to say that right, wants to visit with us about Gear Up professional development opportunities.
Can you guys hear me? Sorry, I was on mute. Good morning. I'm Lindsay Hornecker, and I am from the University of Wyoming. I work for the Gear Up program, and I have spoken with several of you over the last several months, but I just kind of want to get the word out there. Most people know that Gear Up works with students. We work specifically with lower income and at-risk students, but a lot of people don't realize that Gear Up can provide professional development opportunities to our educators that work with our Gear Up students. And so my job specifically is to go out and make sure that professional development is reaching our educators. And we've had a lot of changes this year within our department, as well as the coronavirus hitting and changing the platform that we have to reach everybody. So although it has been difficult, it has also provided a lot more opportunities to reach people. Prior to the coronavirus pandemic hitting, everything was pretty much done on site. I would travel around the state of Wyoming and talk with people. We would hire somebody to go on site to reach educators. And although that was amazing, and I think that's probably the best platform to reach people, we've had to really expand availability and creative. So we have a lot more opportunities now. Everything that I was working on over the last year has pretty much either been canceled or put online. So with that being said, the budget that I had created for the past year has quickly changed. So I have some excess funds, which I would like to make sure we can utilize. We don't want to lose them. And so some of the professional development opportunities that we have, again, like I said, I put everything online, and I'm going to create some kind of like a menu that has everything that we have available, and that should be done by the end of May, which I will send out to everyone. But some of those topics on that menu per se, I guess, that can be online and virtual are things like helping teenagers succeed, helping teachers succeed. I have just recently been trained in emotional poverty and framework for poverty, which has some amazing information that really explains how poverty and emotional trauma can impact a student's learning. Some other things that we're working on are trainings in leadership, how to effectively lead a classroom, how to effectively lead just in general. Something else that I was working on prior to all of the COVID experiences was I would like to have either where school counselors or teachers can apply or have somebody nominate them to attend a conference. One specific that I had in mind, I had actually attended the beginning of March, right before all this hit, and it was amazing. An amazing conference. It was the National Youth at Risk Conference, and there was so much information that would have been extremely beneficial, I think, in so many different settings. So I would like to see this next year where we have a program to where, again, educators of whether they're principal, counselor, teacher, can either apply for this program or be nominated and be chosen to have a fully paid expense trip to go to this conference. This last year it was in Georgia, and it was beautiful and it was amazing, and I would like to make that opportunity available. We also have some other opportunities that we can just pay for conference dues. Like there is a STAR conference coming up here in June. It is now online, but if you have Gear Up students in your school, that is something that we could potentially pay for. Everything that we pay for does have to be approved and go through my chain of command, but that's just another opportunity that we can do. I am open to being very creative and innovative in any way that we can get professional development to your school. So I'm looking for ideas that might be specific to your schools. As you guys know, Wyoming is very unique. What one school has a need for, another one doesn't. So I'm looking for specific needs for your school district. Eventually we'll have some statewide conferences and things that can be brought to everybody statewide. However, again, I have a lot of time and some excess budget that I would like to spend down. A great way to do this would be this coming fall when school starts, trying to figure out what specific professional development is needed in your school and trying to see if I can help with that in any way. Some ways that I can help with that is to either create the professional development and come and put it on for you. I can find somebody, a professional speaker that already has it created, and see if they can come to you. We can do it online. Again, I don't know what's going to happen in the fall with schools. I don't really know that anybody really knows at this point. But whatever we do figure out can either be done in a virtual format or face-to-face, should health and safety regulations allow that. We also have a lot of Magoosh licenses. This is an ACT prep site that my children have used and I've actually used to help my children. And it is very useful, and it's something that is available to students as well as to teachers and educators that they can use as a tool to help their students succeed with the ACT. So I know we have a lot of, we're K through 12 on this call right now, so I do need to point out that Gear Up does work with 7th through 12th graders, and they have to be income eligible. There are just a select few schools here in Wyoming that don't have any Gear Up students, and I'm working to get every school with a Gear Up student. However, some places it's just not feasible because of the location that they're at or the economic status of what's going on in their area. Let's see, just want to make sure I hit all my points here. So pretty much the last thing I need to say is any piece of professional development that we provide needs to align with our objectives, and our objectives really are set up to help at-risk youth succeed. So if it's any sort of professional development that really can help an educator that works with an at-risk youth, we can really make it align with our objectives. So I will tell you my email address. I'll put it here in the chat, and so you can contact me. My email address is lhorneck@uwyo.edu, and I'll also put that in the chat. If you can't, if you forget it, feel free to search for me. You can search for Lindsay Horniker, University of Wyoming Gear Up, and I will pop up. I believe Amy has my email address, and I'll see if there's a way that we can get, oh, I think it's being put in the agenda right now. So I would love to hear from you, whether it's just an idea or to see if there is some way that we can serve your school. That would be fantastic. So I won't take up any more of your time, but I thank you guys.
Real quick, we had a couple questions come on the chat. One was, is Upward Bound through Gear Up?
Nope, Upward Bound is also a grant program here in Wyoming, but it is a completely different program, and they have different requirements, and a lot of the same students are served through Upward Bound, but it is a different program.
And then the other question is, how do we apply for the conference grant? Do you know the specifics on that yet?
So I am developing that right now, and when I do, I will send it out. I'll make sure that it gets to all schools that have Gear Up students so they can apply for that. I will be sending out an email to principals probably today, basically stating the same thing that I said in this call, that we have some opportunities available. Please let me know if there's anything that you need in your school. So you might be getting a double whammy of this information, but I really would like to get this information out to as many people as possible. This last year, we had some changes in the office, and with all of this COVID hitting, we haven't really been out in schools for a while. So I really want to make sure that we get out and do that. Is there any other questions in there?
Not on the chat. Is there any questions from anybody? Just general?
I do. Is there a way for me to get everybody's email address? It says, how do we apply for the conference grant? It's best to include us in the emails. What do you guys suggest the best way to do that is? Can I just kind of take your emails off of, I guess, what is the best way to get your emails?
Amy, can you answer that one?
Sorry, I'm trying to help my daughter with school at the moment. What was the question?
It says in the chat that the best way to get this information is to include counselors in the emails. And I don't have access to that information. What's the best way for me to emails? Send it to somebody or have access to that? Is there a resource somewhere that has all of that?
It's hard because when we've tried to collect all the counselor emails, we don't always have the accurate ones. So I mean, we could put it on our web page, like anything you want to send to us, we can put out there and people can reply. or you and I can chat a little bit about maybe some options.
Okay.
I just don't think we even have updated ones. We could send you what we have, but it's not going to be everybody.
Right. Okay.
So
I will
you and I can chat later.
Okay. I'll do my best to get it out to everybody. I do know principals have a lot going on, and so sometimes this information just doesn't get to you guys. So are there any other questions? All right, if you guys think of anything, please send me an email. I'd love to hear from you, and I'd love to pick your brain. So you guys have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Wendy. Are you on?
Yeah, good morning. I just got
Sorry about missing you earlier.
I just got a phone call from PTSB getting back to me about how to submit CEU certificates. So didn't know that you were going to call me at the same time. So my concern is that as a group, we would want to advocate for ourselves on how to have protection when we do our work when school resumes in a brick and mortar building. And the research that's coming out, like the one that just came out in the New York Times, is talking about how when you are in person and you are talking, there are 1,000 virus containing droplets that come out when you speak for a single minute if you're talking loudly, and that they can hover in the air for as much as 14 minutes. And I'm thinking the social distancing rules about staying 6 feet away. Some of us don't even have offices with 6 feet dimension. And so what are we going to do to advocate for ourselves, to keep ourselves safe and healthy when school resumes, and be able to sanitize our offices effectively? Are we going to be able to do our jobs? Are we going to have to restructure how we, like in elementary level, we go and do guidance lessons? And I'm thinking, if I'm asymptomatic and I travel from room to room, am I going to be the contagion factor if I go do guidance lessons? So I know there are committees in my district in Albany County that are considering how to reopen and what are the strategies. And I know that it changes day to day what the CDC recommends for social distancing and that kind of thing. But I just thought it would be good if we put some thought into what we need as professionals to do our job. Do we need, special masks? Do we need special fans and vents? I don't even know. I know they're doing some electrostatic technology investments in terms of sanitizing airplanes, and our schools looking at that as well. I just wanted to hear what people's thoughts are, if we needed to have some kind of stance on how to protect ourselves as professionals, because I think the classroom teachers have that pretty easily, but I'm concerned about our needs as well.
We can share thoughts. Anybody that has thoughts on this would be great. I'm not sure exactly how we will address it in our small district, because all of our rooms are small. So it'll be interesting to know what the restrictions are in the fall for like numbers and things like that. But yeah, I understand what that's saying.
This is Karen Miller. I just kind of have a follow-up question for you, Wendy. Are you hoping to try to kind of have a group together that would maybe advocate, like, maybe the Wyoming Department of or not Department of Education, but the like the union, like they might have that help to help teachers, and I know that we as counselors can also be a part of that. But is that kind of what you're looking for, is like who's going to be a group, or that's kind of taking this on? Or I'm just trying to get a feel for where you're hoping this heads.
I just know that as a unified voice, we have more power, and it would be nice if WISCA could come up with a letter to send to school districts and say, thinking of reopening schools, be considerate of your counselors' needs and be aware that you need to make a budget for protecting them in their important work that they do, something like that. I don't know what that entails though, but I was hoping to get some group support for taking action now before they just, oh, whoops, we forgot about you guys. How about if you send me emails if you're concerned or have some great ideas, or if your district's doing something fantastic to look out for you. I'm kind of on the heels of Paul there talking about administrators often don't know what it is we do, and they tend to forget that we're in our little offices making big changes. So my email is wwatson@acsd1.org for Albany County School District 1.org. So if you have some ideas on what you think this letter should include, or if your district's already looking out for you, some ideas, that would be fantastic. So wwatson@acsd1.org.
Well, thank you, Wendy, for sharing this with us. It's a thought that probably we all need to be considering for sure, and keeping in mind our safety too. And then the safety, of course, of the students that we work with in the smaller areas that we work. So thank you. And that her email is in the agenda now too. So I appreciate that. Lisa had to drop off for a little bit because her internet is having problems. So I guess I'm it. So moving on down the agenda, we have just kind of any follow-ups. We talked last time about transitions, graduations, orientations, any ideas for starting the new year. So this is kind of an open topic. If anybody has something they want to share, things that are happening. I know the governor changed some things just yesterday or the day before on some of the regulations, but we're moving forward with our graduation next weekend. It'll look a little different, but I kind of put this one on just to see if there's any new things out there or any ideas that anybody wants to share.
I saw the picture of the Douglas graduates in lawn chairs on the football field, and that looked like it was pretty fun.
I know some of the districts around here are waiting till June or July. I think it's July. We're doing ours on the lawn if the weather permits. So it would take, I don't know. I'm still trying to figure it out. We'll practice Thursday, so I'll know more. All right, well, I'm not hearing anybody. I was kind of like talking to myself, so I'm not gonna do that. The next thing we had is we just kind of thought it'd be kind of fun to see if everybody had, or somebody wanted to share some of the challenges or celebrations that you've had from this experience with COVID. And I guess I'd start with my celebration is I still am adaptable after all these years. I have learned some new things about technology. I'm still not the best camera person in the world. I'm not real crazy about cameras, but working with students online, and but I do miss them. That would be my challenge, because I really do like the one-on-one. So we'd love to hear some of the challenges or celebrations you have from this.
One thing our district has done, which has been really neat, I see them in my neighborhood, they did all these little signs that say Thunder Basin graduate, and they put the kids' senior picture on them. So when I walk my dogs, I can see who lives where and who's graduating. That's been kind of a neat thing.
I saw the teddy bears too in Gillette. That was kind of cool. And I don't know if that was the elementary or how that was done, but I did see some teddy bears around in windows.
Yeah, it was like a going on a bear hunt thing, and they're everywhere. They're at the dump, they're at coffee shops, and that's kind of a neat thing, especially when we were on not really lockdown, but just staying at home.
So this is Wendy. I was doing Zoom session with my kiddos, elementary school kids, and I've seen amazing quantities of home pets. And I've seen kids in their underwear, which if they'd been in my office that way, I probably would have gotten fired. But since a parent was in the room, I'm like, oh my gosh, seriously? So the challenges of just doing Zoom sessions live with family members going in and out has been amusing to me. And I'm just thankful that I'm not getting fired for some of the things that I've seen happen in what would constitute my office.
Yes, that's true. And then they want to share all that information, the dogs and the pets and the stuffed animals, especially the little ones. And that's cool. But yeah, it's hard sometimes when they're a limited amount of time with them. Any other challenges or celebrations? April?
Yes. So I think my biggest challenge has just been keeping myself busy. I mean, I've heard counselors say that you guys are busier than you've ever been, and I don't know how that's possible because I feel like I'm just like, because I have kids that don't show up to a Zoom meeting, or I have a parent I can't get a hold of, or like there are days that I've really felt frustrated that I'm just not doing my job. And that's been a big challenge for me. And that's taken some self-care and on my own. But, the positives have been just seeing how my teachers have rallied and seeing how they're working with students. I've been able to pop into a couple of classrooms Zoom sessions this week just to say bye to the kids basically. And that's been fun to see the kids. So yeah, it's definitely been a challenge though overall.
I think when I say that I've been busier than I've ever been, like just so much takes up time with doing the technology pieces, like trying to figure out how to do a video and then trying to figure out how to post it, and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. And then I've been doing Zooms individually or small groups with students, and then popping in classroom Zooms, and then just all the transition stuff for like 7th grade registration and getting 504s transferred and special ed, and then just so many meetings about it's just really, I feel busier than I ever have. In the past you could just pop down and grab a kid, and now just all the scheduling piece, and then sometimes they show up, sometimes they don't, and then rescheduling or making a video when they don't show up. And so I feel very busy. I do come into the building. I'm an essential worker, and so I come in the building a couple hours a day, and then on Fridays I give out blessings in a backpack. And so it's different, but it seems like it's just as busy as ever.
When you put it that way, that makes sense. I guess that makes sense. I think, and another challenge for me has been making a video and then my students saying they didn't watch it, which is hard because then it's like they're not getting the lessons that I'm putting together.
I see that too. I was reading a book and then making links, and I popped in a 4th grade Zoom and I said, is anybody watching the videos? And one kid said she was watching them. So that's kind of frustrating too, because it takes a lot of time. But I've also just been trying to ease up on myself a little bit and my own expectations, because I see our kindergarten and 1st grade are doing paper packets, and even those classes, there will be like 20 posts a day about a read aloud, or this is how you write these letters, and here's your assignment, and here we're working on telling time. And so I feel like the parents get notifications every time they get those, and so they're getting 20 notifications for that, and then my things on top of that, and the librarians. And so I've been trying to just not do as much, and also just have some self-compassion and some self-care for myself as well.
Yeah, I've kind of come to that point too, where it's, I made a couple videos, and when I talked to a couple kids, like just that if I saw them at the store or asked, if they've seen the video, and they're like, oh no, I didn't watch that. I'm like, okay, cool. Like, and I get it. I've talked to a lot of parents who are just like, my kid, I've got 4 kids that I need to get on the Zooms all day and and not wanting to add more to their plates at home, realizing that, parents are stressed out too. So yeah, there's definitely that self-care and that giving myself and the family and parents grace of like, okay, it's okay they don't watch the video, but then it just hurts my heart that I'm like, well, then I'm not getting to connect with the kids and they're missing out on the part of school that is my job, and that's been a challenge. I'm looking forward to the fall when we can go back to school and see my kids again. But it is nice to know I'm not the only one who feels this way.
Any other thoughts? Thanks for sharing, you guys, too. That makes us all feel like we're in the same boat, even though the boats are a little different sometimes. All right, well, not hearing anything, on the agenda, we did add the link to the our School Counselor Association newsletter that comes out, which really leads in from what you guys were talking about, because Suzanne Scott has an article on there about recharging with self-compassion and self-care. Amy has an article on thanking the peak participants. But anyway, we have that come out regularly, so check that newsletter out, and we can, that's always there for your reading. Let's see, I'm looking at chat here real quick. Okay. All right. One other thing we had on here, other questions and comments. Suzanne Scott had shared of her transition video that they made first grade to second grade. So, and then the end of the year survey that we need to have your responses from. So if we want to continue doing this next year, is there any questions or anything else that for the good of the order that we would like to discuss?
I just want to thank everyone who's been on the meetings for coming and contributing, the emails that we've gotten and the ideas, collaboration. This has all just been really good. For me, I guess a positive from all of this experience has been these meetings, just connecting with everyone, meeting new people, sharing concerns and celebrations. I mean, all that has just been such a positive. So I just wanted to, thank everyone for being a part of this, and it definitely has made it a little easier to have that support and normalcy that other people are going through it. So again, I just, want to thank you guys. It is one more thing in your schedule, but for me, it's been a positive. So thank you for participating in the survey, so that moving forward, for me, I really want to continue these in the fall. It's just how often we do it. So the survey will give us a better feel for that. So thanks again for just being here and participating.
Today, the military is doing the flybys all over the state of Wyoming, over the hospitals. So you might want to check that schedule. I know here in Gillette, it's supposed to be 10:20.
Awesome. That would be awesome to see. I don't know. I'm going to be in Sheridan, but I'll probably miss it. So, all right. Well, if nobody has anything, we appreciate everybody joining us, and thanks again, and have a good rest of your school year. and a great summer. And we'll check the survey out and get back with you on plans for next year. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.